Well, hello everyone. This is Ron, and I, of course, am back with you with another episode of Empire Coins and Collectibles. Yes, we've been out there scrounging around looking for collections to buy and actually going through pawn shops and coin shops. And of course, the gold and silver shops. Don't forget those. There are treasures to be found there besides gold and silver. Well, today I want to share with you quarters. These are 4 quarters that I found in a coin collection book, like a Whitman book. And I think you're going to find there's something more than just to plug a hole in the Whitman book. These are not old quarters. They're around the 1990s. We will show them one at a time and look at what I've found. And you tell me, are they worth money? That's the point. And if they are, how much do you think? But before we go there, if you could, please like, share, and subscribe. So let me just kind of give you the backstory. I have bought a large collection of Whitman books that are pennies, quarters, dimes, mercury dimes, cents, different types, half dollars, and dollars. So I've been going through all of these and pulling them out of the book because we know those old books can damage the coins. But as I pull the coins out of the book, I'm smoking them over. I'm looking at them very closely through my ×10 loop and then, of course, through my microscope to see if there are any varieties or errors that I should take note of. And there are. I don't know if the collector had missed them, but there's a lot of interesting coins. I'm going to show you 4 today. They're all Washington quarters from the early 90s. Okay, I'm going to change the camera and get to it right quick, and you tell me what you think. So we're going to look at the tray camera on my desk, and you should be looking at 4 quarters, a 1992, a 91, 93, and 94. All of these are not real old, and they're P and D mint. I guess I could have arranged them a little better as an introductory. Let me just do that while I am talking. So we have a 93, a 94. We'll put those closer together. And then we have the 91 and 92. But actually what I had done originally was group what I think are DDOs together. That would be the 91 and the 93. And then I have what I think is a DDR, and you'll take a look at that, as well as perhaps a die crack. So what we're going to do is we'll start with the 91. We'll put it under the coin microscope. Let's see if I can give you a better look. So in this particular one, you can actually read my handwriting. It says DDR God Trust, or is that DDO? DDR. So we'll see. Looks like it is on the averse. I don't know why I wrote DDR on that. That is an error on my part. Good help is hard to find, right? So this one has In God We Trust. Let's see if we can get it back in focus. Come on, focus for us. There it is. But you really can't see it. So what we're going to do is put it under the coin microscope. We'll switch over there right now. So the coin looks to be in about uncirculated or uncirculated condition. So now looking at it here, you can kind of get a glimpse of some of the things that I'm talking about. Can you see it? I'm just asking the question. Can you see anything of note that might lead you to believe it is a DDO? Look at that O in God. Do you see that double image above it? What about the S right there? You can see that image. It's kind of up and to the right of the top S. So you see that curve on the lower curve of the S, and then you see another tail sticking up just to the inside of the upper S. And then you see something with the T. Now, of course, I can get us closer. But before we look closer, let's kind of go around the coin, see if there's anything else. This is actually a pretty good coin. A little scuffing, but not too much. Little scuffing. Nothing really of note. A few scratches in the hair. The backfield looks pretty good. So I'm going to center up In God We Trust, and I'm going to try to go down a little lower, and I'll bring it back into focus. Wow, that's coming out pretty good there. Look at that R. You see the R? Doesn't that look like another R to the right of the top R? What about that O? Look at that O. And even on the inside curve of the left side of the O, you can see that other O sticking out. Look at that S. Are we actually staring at a new DDO? I am very tempted to send this in to Variety Vista. I'm hopeful if I do, I'll get the coin back, right? Because it's part of my collection now. I'm not sure. Answer me this. Those of you that spend a lot of time sending coins out to PCGS, ANACS, and NGC, if this double die is not on one of the major sites called out, like a DDO for the 94 and the God We Trust area, would these grading companies actually call it out with their own graders? I get a sense that ANACS would not, but it's a discovery piece if it's not out there. And I haven't checked any other sources other than Variety Vista and, of course, just what I'm seeing here on the scope. Let's go a little lower. It's a little exciting when you find something like this. Now, to me, looking at that R and that S, there is no doubt. I'm going to take a picture of this and send it over to my brother and get his opinion of it, because he's always good at looking at errors, and he gives me his opinion. He's pretty right most of the time. Don't tell him I said the most of the time part. So yeah, I think this is a DDO because it's on the obverse and it's in the In God We Trust area. Let's look at the reverse and see if there's anything on the reverse besides my writing. It's a pretty clean coin. Little scuffing on the P and E pluribus. A few on the wings. But still, it's a very nice coin. Would this have a chance at an MS State? Maybe, maybe. But again, I do love this coin. I pulled this out of the 1994 P slot in that coin collection of a Whitman book. So there's some motivation for you. If you're buying, you have an option to buy a collection of coins in Whitman books. Odds are the collectors that put them together are not error collectors, and they didn't look at the coins really close. So you have an opportunity to find a real cherished error. Okay, I'm going to go back now to the tray table camera, and I'll put this jewel back. I'm very pleased with this one. I should put a plus, plus, plus. Why don't I do that right now? So I'm going to put a plus, 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 plus. 4 pluses on it, just so that I know that this is very striking. So now that was the 94. Let's go to the 93. Now the 93, can we get to focus? There it is, doubling on God and trust. So let's go ahead and put this on the microscope, and let me switch over. So we're going to go right to it. Now, do you see it? Perhaps it's not as pronounced as the other was, but the letters seem to be a little fatter. And look at that R right there on the right-hand side. Look at the S on the right-hand side in the curve. And then, of course, look at the O above and to the right. Look at the G right there on the right side of the vertical piece of the G. Let's go down a little bit lower and see if we can get some better light on it. Yeah, it seems to me that there's a real pronounced doubling right there on the S. You can see it above to the right, and you can see that double tail there up above the lower tail part of the S. Look at the O. And also look above the D right there. Now, somebody would say, oh, that's machine doubling. But my challenge to anybody that would say that is, if it were machine doubling, wouldn't I see the same amount of doubling that's on the S, on the N, and on the I? There may be a split right there on the I because that I looks a little thicker. But about the T, I don't think it's machine doubling. I think this is in the die itself. What do you think? Let's go ahead and look around the coin. And if there was a vibration when it was minted, wouldn't it show up as some doubling, machine doubling on the nines, then 1993? Or in the hair or on the mint mark? There's some scuffing and a little bit of a gouge right there. Overall, it looks pretty good. Liberty looks nice and clean. There's a gouge on his nose. But realistically, I'm going to turn it at an angle. There is doubling in God, on the O, on the D, in the R in trust, and in the S. Okay, let's flip it over. We're looking at United. Not a whole lot. You can tell it has been circulated a bit. Nothing really on the dollar, quarter dollar. Okay, let's put it back on the In God We Trust. Yeah, I mean, to me, even though you could almost say it looks like a little bit of shelving, you might say it could be machine doubling, but I just don't think so, because it would show up in terms of the orientation, a directional type doubling, where everything is kind of doubled due to machine doubling. But here, you see that little tail end of the S to the north of the top S's tail down here. Same thing with the U and the O. Okay, let's go back to the trade table. Now that was the 93. The 92 is a die crack through the first R in quarter on the reverse. Okay, you probably can't see it until we put it on the coin microscope. So as I bring it into focus, can we see the die crack? It's supposed to be through the first R in quarter. Wow, look at that. Yeah, I bet you can see it. Can you find it? It is right there. Wow. I did touch it, but it's on a piece of plastic, so no damage. Look at that die crack. It's starting up there in the branches and sweeping down through across the R, through the middle of the R, and then on out to the bottom. Now, it's kind of interesting. Let's see if we can get a little closer. The reason why it didn't show up in the R itself is that the R itself is a major indention in the working die. So when it strikes the planchet in that, the metal in that indention flows up and fills that indention. So the indention for that R was deeper than the die crack. That's my theory. What do you guys think? Just gorgeous. Is there anything else we need to take note of? Well, I'm not sure what this is down here from the T to the R. That might be a scratch, but it might be another die crack. Let's come on up. Oh, looky here. Now we have something starting on the inside of the wing. Something starting on the inside of the wing right there, and then sweeping up in that area. And it looks like there's some die chips on the E, and then that exits out that way. So that could very well be a die crack, maybe a scratch. I don't know, but it looks suspicious to me. The one through the R, the first R in quarter, certainly is a die crack. I'm not seeing much of anything else that's of interest. Let me know if I missed something you guys pointed out to me in the comments. You might say there's a bit of delamination in this area right there. Or that might just be the eruption of another die crack. Let's flip it over and look at the other side. So here's the 92. In God We Trust looks okay. You can tell it's been circulated. Not a whole lot going on the reverse. Okay, so we know that this is a die crack right here. Look at that beauty. Look at that beauty. I'm just playing around with the lights. I am going to have this sent out to ANACS. I can probably get it graded and attributed as a die crack for 25 bucks, and it would be worth it to me to protect it in my collection of die cracks. Okay, we're going to go back. We're going to go back to the tray camera. And we've got one more coin to look at. Now, again, all of these came out of that Whitman Quarter Collection book. This says there's doubling on trust. Here it is. So we're going to look at this on the coin microscope. So there's a lesson learned, isn't it, guys? You go out there and you buy these coin collections in the Whitman books, and then you take the coins out of the Whitman books if they're the older ones to protect them. But when you do so, look for the varieties and errors that the collector putting that coin book together did not think to look for. They were probably just putting sets together, and that's all that mattered to them. They weren't looking for any errors in the coin. Clearly, this collector was not looking for any errors. I'm going to turn this light on. Nope. I'll put this light down here. So the lights kind of sometimes wash out what we're looking for. These are not as pronounced as the other, doubling in trust. The inside of the O in God shows a shelving right there. A little bit of shelving to the left of the T. Certainly some doubling on the right of the U on both legs. So this was not as dramatic a find in terms of, is it a DDR, a DDO, or is it a machine doubling? Again, the only challenge to machine doubling I have is that when it's not present in the same direction on all the other features, because when the working die slams down on the planchet against the hammer die, there sometimes can be some vibration or bounce, and that bounce would cause that coin to shift. And as the coin shifts during the bounce and it restrikes, the hammer die restrikes the coin or the planchet, it would create a duplicate image, and that would be machine doubling. And it would all be pretty much in the same direction. I'm not saying that here. What do you guys think? All right, we're going to go back to the tray camera and give a final look at these 4 quarters. Yes, I'm very happy with this. You know, these 4 quarters technically could have paid for most of that coin book that I bought. So I'm very happy with that. And I did find some quality examples of more modern quarters that I've added to my own collection. We're going to go back to the main desktop camera and do the wrap up. So I'm going to get rid of this light so it doesn't blind me. So that's the message here. If you're out there looking and you find a collection in Whitman coin books or older books like that, you need to pull them out so that the coins don't get damaged from the paper in the book, because those older books were not designed and manufactured to protect the coins like they are today. But when you take the coins out, look at them. You never know what you're going to find. You may find something more. You may find a quarter, as I did, worth money. As a matter of fact, I found several that will go into my coin collection. All right, my friends, that's it for today. Please remember, if you're not out there looking, you're not finding. And until next episode, all the best.